The shockwaves of Egypt are reverberating throughout the region, with civil unrest and anti-government sentiment growing in neighbouring countries. So what are the chances of other regimes in the region toppling? Dr. Matthew Gray is from the Centre of Islamic Studies at the Australian National University.
Certainly the majority of the countries in the Arab world are frustrated at the moment. An enormous number of people would like to be out in the streets protesting and would like to see happen in their own countries what's happened in Egypt. What needs to occur, though, beyond just people power, is there also needs to be some sort of division or split at the senior levels, ideally for the army in particular, to break away from the political leadership. That's what we saw in Tunisia, that's what we've seen now in Egypt, that's what we may well see in other countries.
Well, let's look specifically at certain countries. Let's start with Yemen, because there have been protests there. What do you see happening there?
Look, Yemen is probably the country to go next if one's going to go next. It's the one that's most likely to have leadership change because it's most similar, I think, to Tunisia and Egypt. What you've got there is a Republican leader who's been there way too long. He's been there since 1978. He is not terribly popular. He is both repressive and also he uses what little oil wealth of the country is left to buy off support from key elites and tribes and other leaders. And I think to the ordinary Yemeni people, he simply looks old and stale, much as Mubarak and Ben Ali did.
Well, there's also planned protests in Iran, in Libya and Bahrain, and we've got some photos of some clashes, anti-government rallies. Is it possible there'll be a significant domino effect now that the Egyptian government has fallen?
Once you get into, say, a monarchy like Bahrain, it's a little bit different, or to Iran, where you've got a real broad clerical elite that runs the system and which basically has embedded itself, it's got its talons into the institutions of the state and into society. So I think this is where this idea comes from. You might get people power there, but this idea that you need a little bit more than that, what you would need in Bahrain would be quite a dramatic change, I think, in the military, which is not going to happen.
Well, we're seeing a lot of people leave Tunisia, where it all started. How much of an effect do you think that will have in neighbouring countries, say Algeria?
In Algeria, what we might see is protests from, say, the middle classes, from young people, perhaps from Islamists, but whether they can get enough critical mass together is questionable, and whether the army would support them is also highly questionable. I think the army would act to repress them because of its fears of an Islamist government coming to power.
Dr. Matthew Gray, thank you.
My pleasure, thank you.